I still expect that this scheme will not see fruition, certainly in terms of the master plan. But we won't say that I'm not surprised that it's got as far as it has. That's a feature of unusual electoral results, whereby there have been parties in power, particularly Conservative Council Mayor and government or Secretary of State at least, over that period of time, who have allowed to go forward a development which I think is unprecedented, certainly in the last 40 or 50 years, and therefore at every turn and at every opportunity for somebody new to come in and review it, I expected it to be stopped. That hasn't happened so far. It could happen as quickly as May this year if there is a change of administration comes in the following form or thereafter. And the reason I say that I think is unprecedented is because one has to go, I think, to some clearance or to rebuilding of major areas of the country post the Second World War, when a lot of mistakes were made, but were made in, I think, with a good intention in terms of city centre clearances and major redevelopments, which effectively got rid of everything that was there at the time. But these were done at times effectively of national emergency. This is simply about pure profit and greed, and it is about demolishing existing community structures which give either homes or employment or cultural venues to literally to millions of Londoners. That's why I say it's unprecedented. I don't think it's going to, I think it's setting a trend as well, because the next development which we're seeing, which is also in principally in Hampstead Borough, is the development around the HS2 site on the road, which we're told will be a mayoral development commission, which smacks of the old urban redevelopment corporations, or again of the 60s and 70s, which will give the mayor draconian planning powers in order to simply go ahead. And I suspect that is a response to the very stout resistance that there's been from all parties involved in the Earls Court West Kent area to what's happened, which has effectively delayed this project already by several years. So that's where I think we are. Where I think we're going now, there's a little bit of crystal ball gazing here. There is works going on Seagrove Road part of the site. There is a detailed application in for the exhibition sites. There is a plan which I'm sure will be assisted by the Metropolitan Police under their current political management to convert the Emperor State Building into luxury flats. The plans, those, if I can put it this way, are the easy parts of the site. They're not actually easy if one looks at them, but they are certainly easier for the developer to go ahead with than either destroying 2,000 people's homes on West Kent or destroying the major infrastructure or the Lily Bridge site, which provides not just jobs but also essential manufacturing facilities. So I personally doubt that those other parts of the development will go ahead, but it's our mission to try and stop the ones which have got consent or are currently getting consent going ahead as well. What is most outrageous, I think, if I had to pick one thing out of everything that's happened over the last 7 years, is the failure to call a public inquiry. There was public inquiry at King's Cross. There's public inquiry of any development of this scale, and we're talking about. One looks even at the residential elements here. Look at, say, the controversy over the demolition of homes in Camden to the construction of for HS2, or indeed the village of Sipson for the proposed third runway. They're on a similar scale. In fact, they're very small, I think, the demolition proposed just on the West Kent part of the site at all. There is absolutely no doubt. If there was any doubt, I could look at the schemes currently in London, schemes like Smithfield and Shell Building, which are important London landmark sites, but a fraction of the size of the Earls Court West Kent development, where there had been public inquiry. There is no possible explanation for the lack of public inquiry here other than a political fix, other than the Secretary of State simply doing the bidding of his allies in the Mayor's office and in the two Conservative control councils. That is an absolute outrage. I think the developer's view here, apart from not believing their luck, is simply to say, well, we'll keep rolling the dice, and all the time there's a croupier at the casino who's going to fix it in our favour. We'll keep pulling the money in. If that changes at any point, I feel sure the attitude of the developer will change. If there is resistance to that from a governmental level at some stage, then I'm sure some deal will be reached, some compromise will be reached, which will save some, if not all, of the facilities on site. I'm sorry that I don't want to go any longer, that may help people to speak. But I just wanted, at the moment, to give that overview. I think that most of the public authorities are behaving in not just an irresponsible, immoral fashion, but to their own financial detriment. Land sales way below commercial value. The deal that was signed this week by TfL, I think gives all the cards to Capco, none to TfL. If I picked up two paragraphs, there would be where they note Capco's due diligence because of the market capitalisation of the firm. But we know that most of the development on site is being done by paper companies or offshoots of Capco. I also noted with some alarm that they're talking about a new deck structure being built at Earls Court 2, which I think will, if I remember the incredible difficulty of building the original Earls Court 2 over working railway lines, and the disruption of that development is something, again, which has not been factored in. There are 1,000 things wrong with this development, and very little that is right about it, and that's why I remain convinced that in the end, common sense will prevail. But it will only prevail if other people with that common sense are in the power to make decisions.
Thank you very much, Andy. I think that really sets the scene of what we're addressing here. You previously quantified this situation as a perfect storm, which brings in the economy, employment, housing, culture, transport, the environment, and the health of the population. So I don't know that many other circumstances, there are many campaigns out there, but this one has all of those issues to face.
Absolutely dead set against these plans, simply because I can't see what benefits they will bring, either for ordinary Londoners, for local residents directly in the area, for the exhibition industry, for the local economy, for the national economy, for the environment. I can't see any benefits whatsoever. What I can see is the transfer of 77 acres of prime land to an international corporation and billionaire property speculators. I can see London losing one of its most iconic venues with 500,000 visitors, 30,000 exhibitors and hundreds of events each year. I can see the loss of the West Kensington and Gibbs Green estates. These are not sink estates that are falling apart and need demolition. These are absolutely well-run estates that provide important social housing in the area and ensure that there remains a social mix in the area. I can see the loss of the Lily Road depot and the impact that that's going to have on the rail industry, on manufacturing and jobs and so on. And what do we get? Well, we get 7,000 luxury flats. London is not short of luxury flats, and you go around numerous areas now, and you'll see block after block of usually half-empty, three-quarters empty luxury flats that have simply been bought as investment properties to be left empty and then sold at a huge profit some years later, not meeting the housing needs of Londoners whatsoever. I do see as well 2,000 additional car parking spaces that are planned, and the environmental impacts of those just have not been properly considered at any stage of the process. And I think Andy was absolutely right to talk about the outrage of the lack of a public inquiry, the lack of proper checks and balances and proper questions being asked throughout the planning process on this. The fact that there hasn't been any proper environmental impact assessment is an outrage. There's already illegal levels of air pollution in Earls Court. Last year, the Earls Court area exceeded the annual limit for nitrogen dioxide over 100 times the legal limit. What will it mean when we get more car parking spaces, more traffic, more pollution? It will lead to more illness, more premature deaths that we're seeing from air pollution. We see all the problems of children not developing full lung capacity because they're exposed to air pollution at a very early age. We know all these problems which are well documented. Yet, what is the mayor and TfL and the local authorities doing? They're adding to that. They're adding to that problem rather than solving it by approving this development. And that's not to mention, obviously, the additional impact of pollution during a very, very long, unprecedented long construction phase, where we will be seeing so many lorry movements and so on. Asbestos removal, I believe, will also be a part of the demolition phase, which is obviously causing severe concerns for residents and the campaign as well. Which is why I have been very, very keen to be part of the cross-party working at City Hall. The three non-Conservative Party, Greens, Liberal Democrats and Labour have all worked together on this. We actually formed the overwhelming majority in the Assembly. We have agreed a motion opposing this. We've lobbied the Mayor, we've lobbied TfL. Sadly, they've not seen fit to listen, but I believe this is a development that is so flawed, it simply cannot go ahead, and we need to keep fighting, because I think these disastrous plans will unravel at one stage before the development comes to fruition. So let's keep fighting, because this is a battle that we can win. Thank you.
Peter York, the broadcaster journalist, has said that the Earls Court redevelopment sounds like the first big rollout of the dreadful things that have been happening in central London, where whole areas have been hollowed out solely for development gain.
As a broad picture of the industry, we've conducted economic impact studies UK-wide and saw a growth of 18% from 9.3 billion net expenditure to 11 billion during the worst economic recession we've seen in recent years. That's just a testament to the dynamism of the industry as a whole, how it grows, how it helps stimulate economies at a time when everything else seems to be going downwards. Now, Earls Court plays a crucial part in the wider UK industry. Every year, as Darren mentioned, a few figures, and these are figures that even weren't until recently listed on the Earls Court website. You've got 1.5 million visitors, 30,000 exhibiting companies, 12,500 jobs that are supported by those centres, and maybe most importantly, it generates about 1.25 billion a year. The removal of that during the course of this proposed development, 20 years, is a loss of 25 billion. Coupled with the fact that then the direct industry and what it does within catalytic impact, something we're looking at a bit more closely now, is the amount of business stimulated at events. Now, if you think about the fact that the Ideal Home Show is 105 years old, it's got cultural roots within the capital, and has historically been held at the Earls Court Exhibition Centre due to its size and the amenity of the ability to host visitors. The show runs for 17 days and attracts 270,000 visitors. Each of those visitors has a per capita spend of approximately £800. So one event alone, just in one sort of 2.5 week stretch of the year, stimulates back to over 200 million in spend, consumer spend. When you look at trade shows, you're looking at business contracts that are signed, many of which are retained in the UK. The removal of this, under the assumption that other venues in the capital can simply absorb the amount of events, is, quite frankly, naive. There is a perception that London's Cllr and the East End can simply take everything because of its size, but what many people in charge of these decisions don't understand is it's not just about space, it's also about the number of weeks in a year. There are 52 weeks, there are events run, and you cannot run similar themed events at the same venue within 3 months. That means that shows now are having to, organisers now are having to look at what to do with their portfolios. And from my position at the association, I've seen that people are being pushed around on dates by the remaining venues, since Earls Court is already pushing people away, and people are choosing to, having to plan for eventuality by moving to different venues. More alarmingly, I've had a number of members who are looking to expand their businesses abroad,